gentlemen, good evening everyone. Sorry again to the headphone users for the intro. This isn't the normal voice you're used to. I'm the guy who put this channel together. But before I get into anything, I'd like to sincerely say thank you to every last one of you for leaving such nice comments, for enjoying things I've made. You've all shared so much positivity with me, and I'm incredibly grateful for all of it. So, thank you. Now for an overview of the subject. This video will be a bit of closing statement and FAQ for the Joshua Graham Bible Project, an announcement of a new project I think you'll all find valuable and worthwhilely entertaining. To start off the FAQ, I'd like to give the backstory of the project. So if you prefer to skip the long story, please skip to here in the video, where I will go through the FAQ in very short but concise detail and get on with the announcements for the new video project. Now onto the backstory. Making silly AI memes is a whole ton of fun, but AI costs money now, a lot actually. They know it's way cheaper than voice actors and easier than getting over public speaking, so while I would love to keep converting hilarious internet memes, totally fake stories, and niche forum and channel in-jokes about video games, but I like having my own style, and that market is absolutely flooded. It's been 2 years to the day since I began putting together the first video of the Joshua Graham Reads the Bible project. And at last, before Christmas, I finally finished putting the whole New Testament together, clean and clear. When I started this project, I had just graduated college a month prior, and half of my college career had been Corona, which continued to suck well into 2020 parts 1 and 2. To be completely honest, it felt like crap. No internships, no shadowing, no clubs. But my audience seems to be around my age, so you all know what I'm talking about. All of your encouragement and enjoyment has been an absolute blessing. It's helped me get many kinds of anxieties behind me, given me the self-esteem to get out there, and it's made me feel like I've done something valuable for all of you. Not to mention it's gotten me far closer to Christ than I was before. I get asked the same questions quite often, maybe once every 3 comments. The 2 most common are, how did I make this? And can I get this character to read Acts? The short answer is I used 11labs.ai before they made their model ridiculously expensive, which happened about a month after they launched since they'd gotten tons of free publicity. And no, I haven't generated any new audio with them in at least a year and 3 quarters. That goes to show how much audio me and the guys generated back then, and how expensive it would have been to continue that into the Old Testament or new books that are unrelated to this project. I've got no plans to continue generating audio for anything, but I do have a project you all find interesting, which I'll speak about in a moment. But for the long answer for those who've stuck around to hear it, this is the long version of how this project started. On January 31st, 2023, sometime in the too early AM, a website named 11labs.ai dropped the absolute cleanest and clearest AI voice generator anyone had ever seen. 30 seconds to a minute of dialogue could generate near real voice lines, and most importantly, it was absolutely free. Infinite characters, no limit of voice models, and as long as what you were generating was between 1 second and 2 minutes, the voice was convincingly clear and normal sounding. That last point is important because if the voice model was told to generate for longer, it'd start sounding like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator voice and get super deep. Like deeper than a 12-year-old's 90,000 word long Pokemon fanfiction plot. Around February 7th, the 11 Labs AI guys figured they'd gotten enough free publicity from the honestly millions of generated memes being made by the channel alone. And around February 20th, they came out with the account costs that still seem to be out. Going from unlimited words to 10,000 characters a month and no custom models put an immediate hold on the project for me, being a recent broke $$ college graduate. But going back for a moment, on February 1st, seeing this near gold rush level of energy, innovation, and creativity, I figured, how can I go from being a generic meme peddler to bringing something valuable to others? Actual value. And then I saw some guys who wanted to start a project, getting Joshua Graham to read the Bible, the whole Bible. And then it hit me. Getting an AI to read the Bible in this way kind of felt like an exorcism. The voice model wasn't open source and would eventually be taken away. We all understood that from the very beginning. And making an artificial intelligence read the Bible to me felt like a way to get one over on the typical characters who control and limit complex computing software, since they usually unanimously hate Christianity. But, long story short, generating the entire Bible in 30-second to 2-minute increments takes a long time, days and weeks actually. I'd say 70% of the New Testament was generated in that first 7 days. And by March 14th, I had proofread, listened, labeled, and saved every single generated voice line at least 2 or 3 times personally. By about February 14th, the project had slowed, as the model had been limited in output for a week, and whole chapters were missing like John. And with the 10,000 character limit per month per account, putting together fixes or generating whole new lines for missing chapters was quickly becoming untenable. By about February 20th, it was basically only me and maybe a few others still generating fixes, and the Excel sheet was regularly being screwed with. The Google Excel spreadsheet we were using was tens of thousands of cells long and wide, and at least twice trolls had come in and thoroughly deleted lines, or edited things in order to make it not complete. But luckily my proofreading and backing up of the whole project had rendered almost all of this harmless. But this all had made using and spending time on the sheet pointless, and the project broke down into basically nothing after April. But this break in the social contract had made using the sheet rather pointless and time-consuming, given the possibility that among tens of thousands of lines, someone might sneak in a bad word or an incorrect line. As it stands today, the Excel spreadsheet is basically nothing more than a vandalized street sign. There's not much interesting to see there. The other big problem was Catbox, which we were using to host each individual sub 2-minute audio file after Vocaroo randomly began deleting files in an effort to save data or possibly to censor the millions of people using AI voice modules to make memes and uploading them onto that sharing platform. Since making a mega drive is rather expensive as well, and with small audio files, usually it's not worth the squeeze to make an entire account to share one meme. Each audio file was a unique page, and we actually had whole portions of the Project 404 randomly for who knows what reason. Hence why only me and a few other people continued this project later on, given that we had documented and archived most of the files. I spent about 3 to 4 months after the first week of unlimited use had ended, just proofreading, generating corrections for messed up lines, despite the tedious character limit, splicing in better pronunciations, and making sure I didn't miss a single word of the King James Version of the New Testament. It honestly was a rush. And the reason it took so long is that by the time April came around, I had put in hundreds of hours of work and was feeling a bit burnt out. I wanted to make tons of new memes, projects, and entertaining videos, as well as clean out my hard drive of old video game content. But given my situation, I couldn't afford better processing or recording equipment. Putting together the videos without the background video from Fallout Lanius, and without proper audio spacing to sound realistic and immersive, it quickly felt like a disrespectful way to publish this project, which I'd come to really care about. Which brings us pretty much up to speed on the history of the project. Thanks so much for continuing to listen even if you skipped this last part. So without further ado, here's a quick rundown of the FAQ. I used 11labs.ai to make this whole project back in February of 2023. The voice model is the only one I ever used, and after they switched from free to paid use, it quickly became financially untenable for me to keep up a subscription given the amount of work still left to do on this project. I don't have any plans to do the Old Testament, other translations of the Bible, or any more AI voice memes at any time. However, a friend of mine, Tyler Steven, who is still doing this project, has been regularly putting out Old Testament chapters, and you can find his channel in the description or through the search engine. The full uncut 17-hour video of all the chapters put together won't be published because YouTube doesn't allow 10-hour or longer videos anymore without human explicit permission. And if you hadn't already seen it, the entire archive of the New Testament project is in a mega folder linked in the new Revelations video description, as well as in this video's description. Have fun with it. Sorry I didn't get this project done sooner, but thank you all so much. Which brings me to AdSense. Given the long nature of the Bible videos, I've accumulated a whopping 4,000 subscribers and nearly 700,000 views, and hundreds of thousands of watch hours. I could monetize the channel right now, but I don't want to. I like being low profiled, as unfiltered as I can be, and honestly I don't want to for personal reasons. If you'd like to support my work, I have a PayPal, but I'm not asking for money. I did this project because I loved it. Which brings me to the final point of this update, which is the project I think you'll all benefit from sticking around for. Back in my unemployed, brain-rotted high school days, I had wanted to start a YouTube channel. People like Filthy Frank and How to Basic were very inspirational to my kind of humor at the time. Making people laugh and giving them things they like, and having connections to so many friends also appealed to me. But I didn't really have anything valuable to contribute, or so my social anxiety said. But in high school I found this book called A Day in the Life of Japan. Its main premise was that in 24 hours, from 0100 hours to midnight on June 7, 1985, 200 photographers would try and capture the entire day of the whole country of Japan. And in 135,000 photographs, they definitely have the most complete snapshot any future historian could ask for. However, until a year ago when I picked up A Day in the Life of America at a estate sale, I was unaware this book was a series. A year later, in 1986, the book was so successful they did it in 17 other countries between 1986 and 1989. On May 7th, 1986, they captured an entire day in the life of America through about 250,000 photographs. If it hasn't struck you as to why this is incredibly valuable, I'll explain. In short, historians are hardly ever lucky enough to get one or two photos of truly important events. Most lessons taught by unbiased and honest teachers go something like this.
We're 85% sure this city in Italy existed in 1385, and that somewhere between 25 and 75% died due to plague in a single year.
And
this battle involved anywhere between 1.1 million and 2.5 million men, 8,000 tanks, and 17,000 aircraft. However, due to no survivors' accounts existing aside from sketchy cleanup crews years or even decades after the event, we can only assume a battle did happen but have no verifiable evidence of how or to what extent it happened.
that's the third Battle of Kursk, by the way. Even now, 80 years later, the number of eyewitness first-hand period accounts written within at least a few years of it happening remain countable on one hand. Basically, if you've ever wondered if America or Japan was poorer, safer, more dangerous, did it look different than today, then these two books are immensely valuable. I wish I had the full collection, because it's a major theme in George Orwell's 1984 that knowing what the past was really like is an incredible tool. In Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear series, an artificial intelligence tries to give context to the existence of human culture amidst a sea of pointless data. I think it's incredibly valuable to have true, unedited documentation of what life looked like 40 years ago in 1985. We're 40 years past 1984, and truly knowing what life looked like just 40 years ago is something that typically is secondhand. Providing context for your own life and your own existence is something that everyone goes through as they're young. Putting together where you come from, what you are, and what place and time you find yourself in is one of the most important things a young boy or a young girl can do when they're developing as a child. Having this kind of context, I think, will be incredibly valuable for understanding just what it looked like 40 years ago. I'm going to be reading and examining the books in a 14-part series between both the Japanese and American books. I should be finished with this whole project by July. It'll be a simple series, and I'll be releasing other videos in between: camping, hiking, fishing, video games, maybe even a few video essays that I've been wanting to do, and other home movies just for my own documentation and to share stuff. I didn't upload anything else while working on Joshua Graham Reads the Bible project because I didn't want my channel to be messy. It'll be easy in the future for people to view and access this part of my life. And with that, I hope you stick around. I'll be starting a new job this week, but I've been working on the setup for this video series for a while, and should have the first installment out Saturday morning on February 15th, 2 weeks from now. See you then, everyone.